Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. Today is going to be hot. It is going to be 90 degrees. The AC in my house is not working and they can't come for 5 days, so it's going to be a hot one. I need to get these plants in the garden. We're coming up on next weekend. This coming weekend is the Memorial Day weekend, which is usually when I get my plants out, and we are definitely past our last frost date. So I have got to get these going. I'm going to start with my hanging baskets. I'm going to get these guys into hanging baskets. So I need to mix up some fresh soil. I'm going to be using potting soil and perlite. Perlite's going to help keep the mix light and fluffy. I'm also going to be using some peat moss, especially since they're hanging baskets. We need to hold some moisture in there. So I'm going to get this mixed up, and then I'm going to load up the hanging baskets, and we're going to get those flowers planted. I am also going to be putting some nutrition in here. So I'm going to be putting in some worm castings, because I still have a lot of that left, as well as some composted manure. Just breaking up the bigger pieces. Mix that all together. And that looks good. This is the first smaller bed in the upper part of the garden, closest right off the house. So I like to put my cherry tomatoes in here. Looks like I've got a little volunteer tomato right here. I'll leave him, we'll see what he does. And I also have some volunteer borage in here as well. So I have 2 of my sweet cherries that I saved from last year. So I'm gonna put those right here. And these are my DIY soil blocks. And they worked so beautifully. Just look at the size of this guy. He's massive. He actually already has fruit on him, but they have been outside for a couple of weeks. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a hole, and this is really good soil in here. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of compost, a little bit of bone meal, and a little bit of calcium. And the calcium I make myself from ground up eggshells. And that's this. So, a little bit of calcium. That's maybe a teaspoon. About the same with the bone meal. And a little bit of composted cow manure. And I want to bury him up to the first leaf, so about 6 extra inches here. So I'm going to mix in everything I just put in there. Cover him up. And then I want to make sure that I don't have any leaves touching the soil, and these 2 lower leaves are, so I will get my, well, I have scissors, I'll just use scissors. I will snip those off. Soil on the leaves introduces bacteria and disease, so we want to make sure we avoid that. And these will get trellised up. Now, I installed drip irrigation last year, but it was after I had the plants in. So I'm not exactly thrilled with how I did it, where the emitters are. So I did get some new things to do with the drip irrigation this year. So I'm not totally done with this bed, but it is planted. I will fix the drip, and then I will get some leaves in here as mulch. Also got a little volunteer tomato plant right here, and another borage right there. And I actually will put some basil in that bed as well, and in this bed. But we are gonna do some of my favorites, which are Abe Lincoln. And Abe Lincoln is a really big tomato. I do grow them single stem. So this is okay spacing. It's not ideal, but it's okay. You work with what you got. Well, I only got 9 tomato plants done. earlier and had to take a break. So I changed to put my hair up. It is so hot today, but I'm gonna power through. I'm gonna get at least the rest of the tomatoes done, and I wanna get the basils in the bed as well. I did the 3 cherries in the first bed. I did 3 Abe Lincolns in the next bed, 3 Abe Lincolns in this bed. I think in this bed here, I'm gonna do pork chop and just gonna keep going. And in the bed in front of me are my beets, so I'm gonna skip that bed and we are gonna do some Dr. White Cheese Yellow in the next bed. Okay, 3 Dr. White Cheese Yellow. Next bed, I'm gonna do the pineapple and then a new variety for me, which is bread and salt. I have 2 of those and I have 1 Black Beauty, so I'll do those 3 together in the last of the beds in the upper part of the garden. But first I need to go inside and get some more of my calcium powder. I have 2 more jars of it made and I have another 1.5 jars of eggshells ready to powder down. And I'll probably do a quick video on that because this stuff is amazing in your garden and it really does help prevent blossom end rot. So I use it on the tomatoes and on the peppers and on the eggplants. Okay, that is 24 tomato plants planted in the upper garden, plus the 2 volunteers that we had in the first 2 beds. I'm gonna focus on this upper part of the garden before I move down to the lower part. I'll probably make the lower part of the garden a separate video. So I've got my basil tray, so I've got 50 basil plants here, and we're gonna get some into all of these beds except the beet bed. Now, I don't need to do any special amendments when planting this basil. I am just gonna put it in. Got a loose onion here. Didn't close the gate well enough earlier, and Charlie got in here and started doing some digging, so that is why I have this fence. And the nice thing about this fence is it's just up against the T-posts, and so I can easily take it down, and that's how I can get large amounts of soil or amendments in here if needed, because each one of these is only, I think, 16 feet long, so I can just open up a section at a time. But anyway, we're gonna get some of the basil planted. I'm just gonna go in order here. So this first one is Thai basil. And I think I'm gonna keep it simple and try to do one type of basil per bed so I know what it is. I'm just cutting down my soil block line. And these are pretty dry, so I'm really gonna have to water these in. I left my hose down there, so I'm just gonna keep going until the end, and then I'll come back and water really well. Next is my Emily basil. Next I have opal basil. Next I have mammoth basil. This gets pretty big. Next I have the Mamalo basil. This is Greek dwarf basil. I have licorice basil for this bed. And in this last upper garden bed, I'm gonna do the Genovese basil, which leaves me 2 basils to do in the lower garden. Or I can also take some that I put in that big patio planter when I up-potted these on video. You saw me do that if you watched that video, and I can put those in the lower part of the garden as well. These are lovely. All right, I'm just gonna add water to this tray because these are pretty dry, and then go back through, water all these beds, and then I'll grab some peppers and some eggplants. right, we're gonna start right here in this third bed. Got a big tray of about 45 eggplants. Okay. So I think I'm gonna do some of the smaller ones in here. I'll do 2 smaller ones in here. Same amendments as before, a little bit of calcium, bone meal, and compost. Mix that all together. And we'll do another one right here. This is a Chinese string, one of my favorite Asian eggplants. They're long and slender and purple. They're beautiful and they're flavorful. I think I'm gonna pull this chard that kind of overwintered. It looks pretty sad. And then I can get another Chinese string right here as well. I'm just gonna cut it off at the base, leave the root system down there intact. Partially intact anyway, because I'm digging. And I've got onions these are from last year. They're sending up flower stalks, which is why I kind of want to save them. This has a flower stalk, this one, and this one, because I want to see if I can get seeds from them. But this one, yeah, this one does too. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those just to see if I can get some seeds for next year. All right, so this is bed 3. I have some volunteer Swiss chard, the onions that I'm trying to get seeds from the flower stalks, 3 Chinese string eggplants, 3 Abe Lincoln tomatoes, and 5 opal basils, and then some volunteer calendula down at the end. So this bed is done. I just have to fix the drip system in here and mulch. In this bed I have a little bit more space, so I'm going to do 2 bigger eggplants in here. So I'll do the black beauties. I've got more black beauty, long purple, Nagasaki long, Oswald. Since this one has more room in it as well. I'll do more large ones, which would be the Oswald. In here, I'm going to do my Rosita and some long purples. So I'm going to do 4. Those ones don't get too big. Maybe 5. This makes me so happy. I can't wait to have fresh eggplant again. I'm gonna put some Nagasaki long in this bed. They just come up so beautifully in these soil blocks. I'm gonna finish off the eggplant in the upper part of the garden with some little fingers. Now I just need to go grab some peppers, and then the top part of the garden is planted. Okay, I need to figure out what peppers are what. A lot of them are mystery because the little baby soil blocks that I planted in were kind of a nightmare. So I think these ones are labeled. This tray. All right, I've got two more beds, maybe 3 where I can put one more. So I'm gonna put the Etuda in this bed. Etuda is a beautiful orange sweet bell. So there's 3 of those. All right, in here, I'm gonna put my sweet banana peppers. I only have 2 peppers left in that tray, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them right there. There's room for those 2. They're the Trixadoro, probably not how you pronounce it, that's what I say. So I'm just gonna pop those right there, and we're done with peppers. We're done with peppers in the upper part of the garden. All right, that is 16 peppers in this upper garden. I still have more peppers to plant, but I need to get the lower part of the garden done first. If I can fit peppers down there, great. If not, then my bags and buckets come into play. So next video will be me doing the lower garden and probably some of those containers as well. But for now, the upper garden is planted. Now I still have to do some direct sown stuff. Up here I will do some green beans. But otherwise, yeah, that's a wrap for the day. Thank you so much for joining me and watching me plant 8 beds today filled with tomatoes, basil, peppers, and eggplant. This is going to be a bountiful year for me. I just know it. Happy gardening to you. Thank you for joining me, and I do hope that you come and visit again soon.